It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. And it was a power-packed show. We started off with all of the greats, the entertainers and celebrities that we lost in 2025. And if you don't think you got a good list, I gave you a good one. I didn't include absolutely everybody because I didn't think everybody remembered everybody. But I got the key players. And we talked about the firehouse out in Florida that has been going buck wild out there. Yep. They have been doing a hazing like a frat house. Yes, there was a 19-year-old, or there is a 19-year-old individual who said that his colleague smeared grease on his t-shirt, threw his belongings into some nearby woods, dragged him outside where they proceeded to remove his pants, whipped him with his own belt, then restrained him in a leg lock while demanding access to his cell phone. Not only that, he has been waterboarded 3 times with a towel during his time there. Now, I don't know what's going on, and I guess out in Marion County, they ain't got enough fires, or they ain't got enough sick people who need emergencies, because I tell you, we surely don't want these people on our watch. No, because God forbid something breaks out, but you got to get from the woods. He got to go get dressed from scratch because they even took off his underwear. Yes, really. But here is the bad part. Not only has a paramedic, 2 firefighters have been fired, but you have the battalion chief, you've got a lieutenant, and you've got a captain who have also lost their jobs because of this. Y'all are straight out of control because they knew what was going on and they let it go. One even watched it happen and nobody reported this stuff. So you know what? It's just like the deans and the people over at the college who hear that all of this is going on and they still don't do anything about it. Well, hopefully justice will be done because many lives were put at risk, not just that one, but many lives. We also talked about the fact that Devon Franklin is playing in the series Divorced Sisters, written by Tyler Perry, and he's playing a pastor who is believed to be down low, as well as this horrendous and troubled marriage. And the question was, should he be playing this role? Because there's some people that say, hey, he has no business playing this role. As a real pastor, how you playing a pastor who's on the down low? How are you playing this kind of role? And, some people say, it's just his craft. Well, everybody here on his Dew Time with Pastor Steph said, hey, no. And we don't always agree. But this one, we agreed on. You need to be showing that there's some type of clearing up, working on this relationship, making it happen. You got to build the kingdom of God. We can't help tear down the kingdom of God. And yes, that's what you're doing when you just portray this. Yes, and you are not taking the time to ensure that people know what forgiveness is all about, what people know that God can transform and just turn any situation around. And if you've got one whole season and ain't none of this happened, we got problems. So, it was a fantabulous episode, and you can always go back and watch. You can always go and listen. If you can't watch, you can listen on StreamYard, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Audible.com, Amazon.com. Oh, we're all over the place. If it's a streaming service there, we can be found. So let's make sure we go back and listen, and make sure you subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and you will be alerted each and every time we pop up on YouTube, okay? All right. Well, today is Wow Wednesday, everybody, and we are getting ready for our socially conscious segment with our girlfriend Vivian. And go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
"30 minutes before a heart attack, your body gives off 5 warning signs that no one can ignore. And if you ignore them, you could miss your final window to act. So here are 5 early signs of a heart attack. Watch this video to the end, or you won't find it when you need it. And don't forget to follow me. Let's see if you recognize any of them. The first sign is chest discomfort. It feels like pressure, squeezing, or heaviness because blood flow to the heart is being blocked. The second sign is pain in your left arm, shoulder, or jaw. When heart tissue lacks oxygen, pain signals can travel through nearby nerves. The third sign is shortness of breath. Your heart isn't pumping properly, so less oxygen reaches your lungs. The fourth sign is cold sweat. Your nervous system goes into fight or flight mode due to reduced blood flow. The fifth sign is nausea or dizziness. A drop in blood pressure and
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Wow Wednesday. Everybody, giving God thanks that He has helped us make it through the week. Well, we're not going to waste any time because we need to hear our socially conscious segment from our girl Vivian. Let's say good morning to Viv.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. Sorry to see you in that car, because A, it's cold out there, and B, that means you're limited this morning.
Yeah.
But we're glad to have you on. How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good. You know what I like to ask you. What you got for us today?
All right, today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with an update on these congestion prices. We have been going back and forth about whether or not these cameras are going to be here for the long term. And unfortunately, the answer is yes. Governor Hochul and New York City leaders marked the 1-year anniversary of congestion pricing by saying the toll cameras are staying on. and the program isn't going anywhere. Since the fee to drive below 60th Street took effect, roughly 27 million fewer cars have entered Manhattan's core. They're saying this is a sign. Officials are calling a win for cutting traffic and helping public transit and pedestrians. The state has also brought in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue so far, which goes back to buses, subways, and other transportation projects. So they say. Hutchell and Mayor Mamdani pointed to these early results as proof that the policy is working, even as opinions among New Yorkers remain mixed. The simple takeaway for listeners is that fewer cars are on the roads, traffic is easing, and the congestion pricing cameras will not be turned off because city and state leaders believe the change is making streets safer and transit stronger for everyone. So unfortunately, they are here to stay, which brings us to our next story, which ties into this one. They're saying that reports in New York are saying that since the city launched the congestion pricing in early January of last year, data shows a real drop in crashes and injuries, especially in Manhattan below 60th Street. They're saying in the first 12 days alone of them launching the congestion price cameras, there were about 90 crashes and 37 injuries in the congestion zone compared to nearly 200 crashes and 76 injuries during that same time period the year prior to the cameras going up. They're saying that's roughly a 50% decrease in both crashes and injuries in just the first couple of weeks. Citywide, the trend continued from January through early spring. Crashes in the congestion zone fell by about 13%, while crashes across the entire city dropped around 15%, with injuries down 14%. Experts say that the congestion pricing isn't the only reason streets are getting safer, but they do agree it is helping to speed things up and calm traffic. With fewer cars clogging the streets, traffic moves more smoothly. Buses and taxis are able to run faster, and drivers, as well as cyclists and pedestrians, are less likely to get into an accident. The early numbers suggest that reducing traffic volume doesn't just save time. According to them, it saves lives. So once again, these congestion cameras are here to stay. Next, we have the CDC. They're saying that they are softening how they are recommending some childhood vaccinations, changing the message from this is routine for all kids to talk it over with your doctor. Doctors are saying that this matters because when guidance becomes less clear, more parents will either delay or skip vaccines altogether. That change is happening at the same time that we have been seeing flu cases and flu-related deaths across the country increasing. So health experts are warning that when vaccination rates drop even slightly, preventable diseases and illnesses spread faster. So they're saying in simple terms, with the CDC changing the language behind vaccination, they're going from recommending 17 vaccines to now only recommending 12. They're saying that this can lead to fewer shots. Fewer shots can lead to more sickness, and more sickness can lead to more lives at risk. And now we have our wow story of the week. They're saying a 22-year-old man by the name of Jalene White was just sentenced to 12 years in prison after admitting he seriously injured his 8-month-old son during a moment of frustration. So at first, Mr. White told authorities that the baby's injuries were caused by an accidental fall, but after continued questioning and investigation, he finally admitted to authorities the truth. Police say that he told them he was playing NBA 2K. He started losing the game, got angry, and while holding his 8-month-old son, he threw the baby against a wall. The infant survived but suffered severe injuries, including skull fractures, multiple broken ribs, and a broken collarbone. Doctors had to perform CPR on the baby, and the child now faces long-term health challenges, including vision problems and the need for a feeding tube. So last week we talked about and we watched the videos of the guys watching football and getting frustrated and breaking TVs and going wild. And now we have this father who was playing a video game and got so frustrated that he threw his 8-month-old baby into a wall. He is now in prison for 12 years, and the baby is in stable condition, but again, is facing some really severe injuries and now needs a feeding tube. And this is a listener submitted story, so thank you for that. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM. Come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. And thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers and listeners. And thank you, Pastor Steph.
Girl.
It's crazier and crazier.
Ooh, it is. It is. Oh, my goodness gracious. Thank you so much, Viv, for your contribution into today's episode. And we pray you have a blessed day. Stay warm out there.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Woo. All right, we got to go backwards this morning and say good morning to our loyal viewers. If you're out there, please make sure you check in, because I remind you that unless you say hello to Pastor Steph, I won't know you're in the room. So we got to check in from our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Please let us know how mom is doing. Is she okay? We haven't seen her in quite a while. Please give her our love. Oh, we got to check in from our girl, Kenny. Hey, Kenny girl. Thank you for joining us. We have a check-in from our boy, Serge. Hey, Serge. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Serge, we got to get you on one day so you can tell us about, some of these things we hear when they're talking about the MTA. All right. We got to check in from our girl, Tamika. Thank you. Tamika's in the room, so we are glad we got her two ways. Oh, we got a check from Bruno all the way from Switzerland. Hey, Bruno. Thank you so much for checking in. We've got a check-in from our Pastor Brenda. Hey, Pastor Brenda. And she's saying good morning to the Due Time crew. Oh, we got to make sure that we say good morning to the ladies who keep us held down each and every morning, because if it weren't for them, we could not be on. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. And let's say good morning to our girl Anika. Thank you, Anika. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad that we even got a check-in from our Switzerland. That's exciting. So please hang out with us and be a part of the conversation. We look forward to it. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now, make sure you call a friend, dial a friend, 2 kids and a string bullhorn, smoke signals. I don't care what you do. Let them know that it's due time when Pastor Steph is on. And it is Ladies' Day. We're giving God thanks that we've made it safely to the middle of the week. If it weren't for God, we wouldn't be here. So, we're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we about to get this socially conscious conversation on. And man, Vivian has not fallen short on the job at all. So let's see our ladies in the screen. Good morning. We got to check in from our girl, Tamika. Hey, Tamika, come on in the room, girl. We got our check-in from our girl, Shantice. Good morning, Shantice.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lady Tamika.
Good morning. I'm excited. We are in Switzerland. I love it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thanks to Bruno who's checking in. So whether he's checking in for 5 minutes or whether he's checking in for the entire 2 hours, we're grateful. We are grateful. We're grateful. Okay.
Yeah.
Want to also remind anybody out there who's listening, I want to just step to the side and say this one thing. We have increased. God has given us increase on our viewers, but I promise you, if you do not come in this room correct, we will ban you. We love to have you in the room, but please remain respectful because we will remain respectful to you. So unless you want to step out on the side and you want to say things that are disrespectful, things that have, nothing to do with, being on the right side of the fence, we don't want to have to block you. We want to leave this room open to anybody because we've got words of life. We don't only have words, we have words of life. And you just never know what you could possibly hear that would give you a boost. So don't ruin your chances because we will not tolerate it. As excited as we are to have you, we cannot tolerate disrespect because not only is it disrespectful to the Due Time crew, but it's also disrespectful to our other viewers, okay? So come on, give us some love, show us some love because that's all we got going on here. You may not always agree with what we say, but it's okay. That's what makes the world go around, right? So ladies, thanks to Vivian, we got our socially conscious segment going on right now. Now, they've been playing this game for quite a while with this congestion pricing. They didn't know. They was going to extend it for another 5 minutes. Then they was going to extend it for another 3 months, another 2 weeks. Well, finally, the word is in that it's been 1 year to this congestion pricing, and it is here to stay. This program isn't going anywhere. They say it has prevented, I believe that's what Vivian said, up to 27 million cars have been kept out of under 60th Street. And they have pulled in hundreds of millions of dollars. They say the early results show that the policy is working. There are not only fewer cars, but traffic is easing and making it safer, and the transit system, such as the buses and the trains, stronger. What say you, Lady Tamika? Would you agree with all of these bonuses that we're receiving from this congestion pricing?
Well, people thought they were being smart by, okay, I'm not going to take my car because, all this congestion pricing and, it's annoying. So, I'll do a different way, or I'll only go out there if I really, 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 really need to. So basically what they did was they minimize the traffic in that area because a lot of people say, I'm not, and even with us, going out there by car. I remember not too long ago, we had to go out to Manhattan, and myself and my husband decided to take the train because we couldn't figure out how to with the new, congestion pricing because we don't go out to Manhattan that much. And I'm sure a lot of other people did that. So basically what they did was exactly that. That's what they wanted. They wanted to minimize the traffic in those areas. They did do it. But I think people were waiting, okay, I'll wait till then. That it's, it's up there and it's not changing. Well, now what you gonna do?
Okay. Listen, Serge, if you're still in the room, we need to know. They claim that there's fewer cars on the street and the transit system has taken a boost. Now, Tamika just said that she now opted to get on the train for several reasons. And that's what they were banking on, because they drive and they could have easily taken their car down and just ate the price, but they opted for the train. Please give us a just give us a preview on whether you feel it's increased significantly or not. All right. So let us know. Shantice, someone who has opted not to take the train at all, but you will take the Long Island Railroad. Have you seen an uptick in the riders, as far as you could tell, now that the congestion pricing is for 1 year? It's been in existence for a year already.
I don't believe there's been a shift in like an increase or a decline in the passengers for the Long Island Railroad, because the Long Island Railroad, people who take that, they typically would park their cars at the station and take the Long Island Railroad into the city. And now that they've incorporated the Long Island Railroad also stopping at Grand Central and not only Penn Station, that was just music to their ears. So especially if you're coming from Long Island, they park at whatever station, they take the train into the city, and then they take the train back to the station and they drive home. So as far as like passengers who normally took Long Island Railroad and Metro North, I highly doubt there's been a shift. Like you said, I continue to take both of those, and it hasn't seemed to be like more people on because of the congestion pricing. What I have noticed with the subway, even though I am determined never to be on there, but because I do watch TV, there's ads that show the subway station now. And it was something I was watching recently. I don't remember, but they showed the train station. It had to have been during rush hour. I think I would have quit my job. The amount of people on the platform when they get on the train. Meanwhile, the train is already bursting out with passengers. And yet they're standing there waiting for the doors to open so that they could get on. And I'm like, get on where, sir? There's nowhere for them to even get on, and they're already on. Yeah. So it seems as though there have been a lot of extra traffic in the subway systems due to the congestion pricing. So in regards to that, absolutely, that's what it appears to be. And that was just extra confirmation for me to stay above ground, because I don't want to be under there with that many people. That's just too much.
Okay. Terrence says all they did was make people take the trains more. It's cheaper to take the train than to drive. You're absolutely right, Serge. And that was their goal, because they have some, we got reports that there was some collaboration with MTA. So yeah, that you're absolutely right. The goal was accomplished. And if they raise the price on the train, it won't matter to people because it's still cheaper to not drive. Watch the train prices will raise again. Well, they did go up 10 cents as of January 4th. Yes, as of January 4th. So instead of $2.90, you now pay $3. So it was December 9th, and I had to go to 53rd Street to the doctor. My appointment was at 2:00, I believe. It was somewhere around 2. I don't know who's lying, but when I tell you, I was almost late for my appointment.
Wow.
I left here an hour and a half earlier. It was quicker for me to get from where I live all the way to Manhattan than it was for us to maneuver within Manhattan. It was horrific. The traffic was horrific. And guess where I'm talking? Under 60th Street. So I don't know who's lying, talking about there's no congestion and there are fewer cars. We couldn't move. We could not move. I may have had a little earlier appointment because for some reason I'm remembering 12 o'clock. Somewhere, but it was in between 12 and 2. I had to be there. And I got there like 1 minute after the hour. But I left my house an hour and a half. We got downtown in about 20 minutes. It took us the rest of the time to get out of the we took the tunnel, the Queens Midtown Tunnel, out the tunnel and over to 53rd and in between 7th and 8th. I don't know who's lying. And if you've got all of these people who are now supposedly on the train, why did it take me so long to get downtown? So I need to make this trip again. I believe I'll be going to 33rd Street. And another time I have to go back to that same location. So I would love, and I'm coming back and I'm reporting it. So I'm going to find out who's lying. Or if that was just a one-shot deal with, the traffic that day. But it was horrible. It was horrible because now they make you work. You either have to go through Central Park or you have to go around Central Park. And he opted to go around Central Park. And baby, when he made that turn, I was like, no. Oh, no. This ain't going to go well. Yeah, as a driver, you kind of sense, and because all of these cab drivers, they can't breathe without a GPS. Oh my gosh. They can't, so therefore they don't have an alternative route. I so miss the gypsy cab drivers. I so miss
But on some of the apps, like if you use Waze, they give you multiple routes. Yes. So you're not subjected to just one route. So I don't know what they use.
No, but here's the problem. I don't want you taking your eye off the road to find a better route. Because that's the other thing that they're doing. Instead of their eyes being on the road, they looking on the thing.
Instead of them pulling over.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, no, learn the road. You have to go. We didn't have the cab drivers. They didn't have none of this. And they knew where they were going. Learn the road. And you don't have to worry about babysitting this GPS. So I don't know, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to let y'all know because I have at least 2 more appointments where I got to go below 60th Street. And we're going to find out. We are going to find out.
I'm tired. Route, I took the train. And when I tell you I was extra early, I was so delighted because I really, at this point, I don't take the train half as much as I used to. I'm going to take the train, the subway, and get there with no problem. As soon as I got out, I was right there. I had to walk 2 blocks to my destination. Not a problem at all.
Okay. And you know what? You're right. You can take whatever train you can to get the closest to your destination, opposed to a car. Because if we're coming out of Queens, we got what? The Midtown Tunnel, or you got the 59th Street Bridge. So if you remember, I got to get over to the West Side.
Right.
So either outlet from Queens Midtown Tunnel, or the 59th Street Bridge, I got to now work my way across town, and that's where the kicker was. That's what kicked us in the butt, trying to work our way across town. But I tell you, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So yeah, in this case, unfortunately, I don't have the ability to take the train, or especially the train steps. That I can't do that. But it would be. You're absolutely right. It would be much better. The commute would be much better. We got a check-in from our Miss Herlima. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Miss Herlima. We got Adele in the house. Girl, I've been missing you. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Sir says those who work in Manhattan will take the train going to Manhattan because it causes more traffic, less traffic on the train. I'm sure that's what he's trying to say. Okay. You didn't answer my question, Serge. I'm asking, are there more people on the train?
It's causing more. It's causing more traffic on the train. He's saying because if you already live in Manhattan, and now you're taking the train 2-3 stops, you're now adding to the congestion in the subway.
Okay. I'm sorry, Serge. I misunderstood you. Okay. I can catch that. All right. Well, the next story Vivian brings us is they're saying that because of the fewer cars that are entering Manhattan in this congestion zone, they say that the real drop in crashes and injuries have decreased. They said that there were 90 crashes instead of 200 crashes within the congestion zone. They say January through spring, it fell by 13% and it fell by 15% across the entire city. They say that this congestion is helping to calm the traffic. Buses and taxis run faster, reducing traffic volume, saves lives, not just traffic. And we kind of touched on that, but if you want to add anything to that, Shantice, you have that opportunity to do so.
Now here's where I believe it falls into what you were saying as well. When you said, well, who done lied? Who said, we haven't been hearing a whole lot of reports recently in regards to any, vehicular deaths or incidents or anything like that. But I think what they're also going to try to make sure they do is try to pull up these facts and try to push these things a lot more to further enforce why the congestion pricing needs to stay in place. So it was like, okay, we put it in place a year ago. It's kind of like we don't know where we're going to say it's going to work. We're going to push that, but really we don't know. Now it's a year later. It seems like it is working, working financially, working in regards to lowering the traffic, on the roads. So now we're going to also enforce this with there haven't been deaths, there haven't been this, the death rate, the hit and run rate, this rate compared to last year has decreased and But has it really? I mean, it's great if it has. It's great if it has. But that's immediately where my mind goes to. Oh, now that it seems as though it's working, now you're going to really push every little extra thing so that those of us who may not like the congestion pricing may say, well, it is beneficial in this area. Hopefully it really is.
All righty. Lady Tamika, would you like to add anything?
Well, of course, it's more beneficial. You got less people traveling on the road. So of course it's gonna look like, oh yeah, we avoided this, we avoided that. No, because you got 600 cars less, on a monthly basis. You've got less incidents, of course you do. So that's the way that I'm looking at it. Like if you were to compare with the amount of cars that are missing and then add incidents and accidents, I guarantee you it would be the same figures because you got the same angry people driving in Manhattan. But 90 cars.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm not sold on this issue of, let me see how Vivian put it, reducing traffic volume. I'm not. I do believe that the buses and taxis run faster, although the buses run faster because they've put we got bus lanes and people can't drive in the bus lanes. So buses run faster. But if you've got only 2 other lanes, and now all the other traffic has to be diverted into those lanes, then you're going to end up with a bigger increase. So, I guess it's, which way you gonna play this thing here. So like Shanti said, I agree. They're gonna use this as a selling point, and they're making money. They're making money all the way across the board. They're making money because you've got people paying to be down there who have to or feel like, you know what, I'm just going to bite the bullet. So let's say for argument's sake, you have 200 cars. Let's just say for argument's sake, you have 200 cars on the average for free that go below 60th Street. Now you got 100 cars that now go below 60th Street, but you're charging them $10 a pop, if not more. Look at the money that you're making. Okay. Now look at the money you're making on the transit side, because now the other 100 car people are now on transit and they have to pay to ride. So you're making your money across the board. Yeah, well, why wouldn't you implement this? It's not like saying Mom Donnie was trying to do, well, if you don't drive, we give you a free ride. No, either way, people got to pay to move around. So you ain't doing nothing but making money. Go away. Go away, go away, and go away. Terrence says, we know some of those numbers are made up. Correct. We've proved it. We've proved it over and over again. They say one thing and then we come back and then the numbers are much different. So why not add all the train crimes that went up, the bums dancing on the poles? We can keep going. Absolutely. All right. Pastor Brenda says, exactly, Lady Tamika, make it make sense. Always follow the money trail. Absolutely, Pastor Brenda. They making money hand over fist, as they say. Okay. All right. Here's a very interesting issue. So they say the CDC is softening childhood vaccinations. Instead of mandating that the children get vaccinated, they have opted that 5 of the vaccinations be talked over with your doctor. So there are 5 vaccinations that they are no longer mandated to get. They have gone from 17 shots down to 12. They say, however, the decrease in vaccination is now pushing up all the illnesses and the spread of the illnesses. Now, we know over the course of years that they've been messing around with this vaccination thing for the kids, but now they have made it official. So again, instead of mandating that they get 17 shots, they must get 12. And the other 5, we leave it for you to talk over with your doctor. Lady Tamika, is this a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion?
Wow. The decrease, you said, I want to make sure that I'm understanding. You're saying the decrease in vaccination is causing more sickness with our children? Am I understanding that correctly?
Period. Across the board. So they're using the flu number. And they're saying that if more children were vaccinated, then those numbers would come down. Opposed to the numbers are now soaring because people are not vaccinated the way they used to be.
That's a scary thing. And I think that whole awakening has transpired because of COVID. Back in the day, you didn't have a choice. You could tell mommy and daddy you didn't want a vaccination, but before you knew it, you had that little thing on your arm. And most of people a little older than me still have the that little scar. That remained for life. Now I don't know what happened between them and me. I have no scars, but I remember the shot. So somewhere in there they changed it, and now they're changing it again. And we know these little children. Anybody at anybody's school, anybody that sees more than one child together, fingers in the mouth, and you touch things, you share things. It's a very scary thing because in this day and season, there's children sick everywhere. I mean, these children now, like, you sick again? It's so crazy. Of what do you do? Do you leave it to the discretion of the parent? But then you also have to be concerned, like, okay, I gave this child this vaccination and now, they're sick, and it's a very tight rope to walk, because And you have to govern your own child. Tell your child. Make sure you tell your children, wash your hands multiple times during the day. Because these children are just scary. They're just petri dishes of bacteria and germs just walking around every day.
All righty. Shantice, what say you? We done went from 17 mandated down to 12. How do you think this is going to play out?
The way it is, like Lady Tamika said, it's like you see a kid and all you see is just a big germ. It's like, hi, from over there, stay over there. Right. Yeah, I don't understand. I remember as well, it's time to go to school. Mommy or daddy had to work. Grandma took you to the doctor. You had the yellow card that you had to take so the doctor could fill out after they gave you a shot. I was one that I was never afraid of needles, so I never dreaded that process. So I was able to pay attention to other things that was going on at that time. And especially if you were enrolling your child into a new school, you had to show that vaccination card, that yellow vaccination. I think I actually still have mine, that vaccination card. This is just like everything else I hear in the world now. Oh, no, you don't have to. No, you shouldn't have to. No, it's not that important. All you need is this. Obviously, it worked. Why? Who sat at the conference table and said, what we should do? We should just eliminate 5 so that we can. Why? If these things were put in place for a reason, so now you're acting concerned and a little taken aback that whatever it is, coughing, sneezing, flu, cold, chickenpox, measles, whatever, there's a surge in it now. Well, that's why these things were implemented. Now it's different if you say, okay, it's been the standard 17, and now all of a sudden you talk about we need 24. Whoa, okay, wait. Now we need to analyze this because we do know they've been pushing a whole lot of vaccines that a lot of us have not been with. So no, you're not going to now just throw things at me telling me I need vaccination because I haven't done my own research. I haven't. But to go down, yes, that's why it's not just the children who are sick, because the kids give it to each other, the kids give it to the faculty and staff, they give it to the parents. Now the parents go to work and they give it to other adults who take it to their kids. It's just this whole big bacterial circle of life that's going on out here, all because y'all decided to sit at the conference table and say 17 is just too much for us to be bothered with. In order for us to get home a little earlier, let's just make it 12. It's just so stupid. It's just so stop messing with things, but then you'll implement other things that make no sense and that are irrelevant. I don't understand the psyche of
Shantice, if you got that card, you're officially old.
I know. The fact that I remember it. The fact that I remember it, the card was about this big, and you had to open it, and it had a bunch of scribble because the doctor had to figure it out. So the only legible part of it is if your parents had good handwriting on the front and they wrote your name. Other than that, it is just a bunch of scribble scrabble because the doctors had to write it. Yeah, and see, we need to go back to that.
They got portals now.
I was about to say, now that everything is electronic, now you just log on to your portal and you get, God forbid, that go down. Now, I don't know if little Ricky coming up in here with anything. Now I gotta keep him outside the school building until the Wi-Fi come back up so I can see if he's back. It's just too much.
So here's my thought. Which vaccinations are you eliminating? That's my question. We only heard that they went from 17 to 12. We haven't heard which ones. Now, I do know that they have, over the years, increased these vaccinations because now they've added flu. The other day I went and they asked me, oh, did you get your pneumonia vaccination? I just looked over. I was like, yo, we're not doing all of this. No, I'm sorry. I can't take the flu vaccination because of the allergy to eggs. And here's my thought. Y'all culturing these vaccines in these things now, because see, you even said oops, and now I'm all jacked up. The other thing that made me very concerned was the medical profession, the nurses and the doctors, they were all mandated to take the flu shot. I don't know one person who took the flu shot who didn't get sick after they took the flu shot. You didn't.
No, I did. I got really sick. I had walking.
Yes. I'm telling you, I don't know one person in the medical profession who was mandated to take it, and they were, ill. And I said, well, what is happening here? Why is it that there's an adverse reaction before it's supposed to protect you? Then what is it protecting you from? This is all, there's something right here. So here's the other concern. We already have parents that were trying to send their children to school with no vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some parents who would not allow their children measles, MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella, no chicken pox, no this, no that, no this, no that. And they would not allow those children in school. Well, thank you very much, because we all know that, this can add to the spread. So it's almost like a Russian roulette in a sense, where you have the adverse reaction versus if you don't, it spreads. It's like, I just need to know which ones did we eliminate from 17 to 12. I need to know what 5 we talking about, because they brought back the polio because they started getting polio cases after all these years. When we were going to school, I'm a 60s baby. When we were going to school, we had to get that. After a while, Shantice and Shorties, they didn't have to get that. And then they started implementing it again because people started getting cases of polio. It didn't start here in the United States, but it worked this way over here. So you know what? We really have to do some research to really see exactly what it is that they're eliminating, why they're eliminating it. And I don't think it needs to be just a parental decision. And I'm sorry, I know as a parent of 3 and a granddaughter, they shouldn't be forcing you. But again, there were certain parents that didn't want their children vaccinated at all. And here was the problem. And I hope I'm not offending anybody, but I'm going to tell you from fact, a lot of those people were coming from other countries. And what was happening was they did a study. Some people say maybe the study wasn't accurate. I don't know. But they were saying that, they were coming over and they were bringing diseases with them. And I'm sure we from the United States took some diseases over to other countries. So my point is, I have nothing to, my thing is not with foreigners and things like that. I love everybody, and the fact that we can travel back and forth and we can integrate, I love it. However, that's what I'm saying. I want to see which ones we've eliminated and why. Why? Give me some fact. And they always say when it comes to this area, we'll never get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that's the scariest part, because are they ever gonna just be honest? We can't even get honesty about the crime rate. Are we gonna get honesty from the CDC? So that's why when I heard Vivian's report in this area, I was like, oh brother, we ain't never gonna find out what the real deal is. But like I said, I think for me personally, a start would be, hey, what are we talking about here? Because again, one of the reasons why they didn't push the pneumonia is because she was like, oh, you're only 59. And I was like, yeah, so take that off the table, because I ain't taking it no way. If God gave me 75, I'm not taking that. I'm just not. Like I said, for me, I have other issues. I'm not putting nothing in my body. With an allergy such as eggs, I'm not putting that in my body. You know, because I found out by accident that they cultured the flu vaccine in egg. Nobody said that. It just so happened that a doctor was walking by when I was asking about an egg allergy. That was before it was really established that I had an egg allergy. And I was talking, and the doctor stepped back. He said, "Oh, don't take the flu vaccine." I'm like, "What? Why?" He said, "Because they culture it in egg." I was done. But a lot of medicines are cultured in egg, and I'm not messing with it. So, I think we need to get more information, and I think once we get more information, then we can really, really make an educated decision. So I don't know. Anika says exactly, it's just a money grab. If it was to help transit, why the price hike? She's talking about the congestion pricing. I agree. If you got, that's why I say, if you go down, you put money, you raise prices, and you're charging people, go in.
And the Omni doesn't work. If you're taking the train, you know how many times I got to tap like that?
That yes. Somebody brought that up last week.
Card.
Yes. Somebody brought that up last week that it wouldn't work one way, but that's the way the Metro card wouldn't work. The Metro card wouldn't work if you were going from the bus to the train.
Oh.
It would work if you went from the train to the bus. You would get that automatic transfer. But if you were going from the bus to the train, you couldn't use it. It wouldn't work. It would be charged.
I never had that problem.
Yeah, they did, but that was just though you had to pay twice if you used the Metro card.
Wow.
So yeah, that you're gonna get all kinds of craziness now, because you know what? Again, you implement the Omni card, but you're not gonna find the flaws until people actually begin to use it. You can't say this is something proven and perfect until it actually starts being used. So Mr. Lima says, well, I'm not sure what vaccines they eliminated. There you go, Mr. Lima. But there's no reason for a child to get a syphilis or any other kind of venereal disease shot at birth. Think about it, ladies. Who is the baby, I guess, having sex with? Well, that's my point, Mr. Lima. I need to know, I need to see what we talking about here. What are we talking about? You can't say that it's good or bad, really, for me, unless I know exactly what we putting in, taking out. Terrence says,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish, and I'll ask.
All of this is man-made anyway. Okay. What do you mean man-made? Like the vaccines, Terrence, are man-made? Of course it is. God didn't make vaccines.
Right. Big Mama and them, they knew how to take care of us, and we did not get sick. We need to go back to that.
Yeah, I mean, we went natural. I keep telling you, my mother said, Stephanie, all we gave you was pet milk. She said we didn't use formula. But pet milk, which was pet milk, canned milk, evaporated milk. And we were the healthiest kids on earth. No allergies, no nothing.
Maybe you go back to doing it.
Okay. Oh, Terrence says the virus, everything is man-made. I don't necessarily agree with that. What do you feel, Shantice? Do you think the virus is man-made?
Virus? What virus you talking about? That's what I was going to ask about, like the venereal diseases, the syphilis and all of that. They have vaccinations for that?
Well, they didn't have vaccination. There's this big thing back in the day where they were giving out shots to stop syphilis, but yet they were secretly killing men. It's really big thing. Really big thing.
I don't necessarily think the viruses, especially talking about, like AIDS, stuff like that, is man-made. I think a lot of it comes from so if I have something and you have something, or if my blood don't mix with your blood good, or my fluids don't mix with your fluids good, now we got this thing here. And now we're heightening it by now being in contact with someone else. And now that's heightened because AIDS didn't start off as AIDS. Didn't it start off as like VD or something like that?
I don't know.
But then it started, from like what it was, how it was laid out was like it grew, it graduated to it being like HIV/AIDS. It didn't just come out like bam, HIV/AIDS. It's like there was this surge of BD, and by the time, that just kept getting heightened and heightened and heightened, and now you got to where it's HIV/AIDS. I don't think it's man-made. I think it's just a lot of carelessness that's going on. And now before you know it, it just graduates into something so much bigger and so much more intense. And because we're not people that see it on level B and say, you know what, let me stop and or really protect myself and really be cautious, but that just gives us a way to be even more reckless, and we help it to gradually get worse. That's how I see it.
Okay. Lady Tamika, what do you feel? Do you agree with the virus is man-made?
I think it's it's one of two, and the reason why I say that is there's many technologies and many documentations where they say they experimented with this, and it came out. I look at all of the Tuskegee Institute where they erected the disease and then injected people and then watched them die, unfortunately. So you have access to getting it. And then the other thing is the part two of that is just the nastiness of people, in general. We've talked about many things where people have gotten sick, and then I'm already sick, and then I infect somebody else with it. And, that's how it has a tendency to spread. We also often talk about unprotected sex. You also realize it only takes one time for you to get anything, pregnancy, diseases, and you're not taking care and doing your due diligence, because your first due diligence is, if you're going to have sex, be protected. And then you don't check on yourself. I have an itch, or I have a burn, or I have a whatever it is, and you don't check. You just keep going, and you keep going with this person and that person, and before you know it, we've got a whole, dichotomy, a whole diverse area that has been infected because you didn't do your due diligence and they didn't do their due diligence, and so on and so on.
Okay. I'm actually where you are, Tamika. Are there illnesses that have been man-made, such as that Tuskegee experimental issue? I don't believe that that's the only time that has ever happened. However, I also realize that we are in a fallen world, and all of this is biblical. This is biblical. It speaks of diseases, pestilence. It speaks of this. It speaks that God will allow these things to take place due to, like you both have said, the carelessness of man. Men, let's talk about men. Men do not go and get themselves checked out. I've known men who have said, I've seen stuff, but I'm scared to go find out what it is. So you'll continue to have sex. You'll continue to integrate with people physically, meaning eat behind people. Y'all smoking cigarettes behind people. You smoking weed behind people. We breathe in one another's air. We up in one another's face, and we still think that this is man-made. Nah, there are things that, like the both of you have said, that due to our own carelessness, we have aided in the spread. Instead of going to find out what's wrong, instead of using preventive measures, we opt to do whatever it is, that will happen naturally. We don't do what we need to do. So, Terrence, you say don't say men. Let me help you with something. And this is Shantice always says this. If the shoe fits, wear it. If it's not you, my brother, then it's not you. But we do know, in comparison to women, men do not check themselves out the way women will check themselves out. However, there are women who will not go to the doctor to do what she needs to do either. So now when I got all the women standing up mad at me, listen, if we're talking about something that's you, then it's you. If it's not, it's not. When people start talking about the carelessness of Black people and how we shiftless, I don't get mad. Why? Because Stephanie ain't never been shiftless. If the shoe fits, wear it. We've had men who literally say, your favorite Pastor KL has said way before you started listening, we did a show and they admitted that they don't take care of themselves because they fear what they're going to hear. They know others who don't take care of themselves. Is that other you? If it's not, then I love you. Thank you for taking care of you. Teach your sons to do the same thing. But the fact of the matter is, we are careless in this life. And we don't do what we're supposed to do. We don't do our due diligence. So even if you go get your checkups, what else maybe you're not doing? And that mean I say you, I mean in general, mankind, not men in this particular issue. So we have helped the issue of illness. Everything is not man-made. So the same way you said, you made a general statement, the virus and everything is man-made. I'm sorry, my brother. That's not true. Because again, it's biblical that due to world and how we handle things, there's going to be major illness. There has been biblical account where God himself, some of you don't want to believe that God, that's something that God has given as a punishment. We don't know. We don't know if this particular illness was the punishment, or or any of this that we've seen here has been punishment, and maybe it was only back then, or maybe that will be something that will happen in the future. But what I'm saying is all of this stuff is up for consideration. And one of the things we must say is, yes, certain things have been by experimental, and other things have been from our negligence. And there are other things that God has caused as punishment to this land for our disobedience. So how it's Russian roulette. It could be any of those things. So we can't just blanketly say it's all of our negligence, because we know it's not. We can't say it's God punishing the world, because it ain't. And we can't say that all this is man-made. We can't. So we got to keep an open mind and say, you know what? Take care of you. How are you taking care of you in this world? Are you aiding or are you helping? Vivian's been talking about the surge in flu vaccination. Are we going out masked up so we're not possibly catching something and bringing it back home? Who's to blame at that point? So even if it was something that could have been prevented, now we didn't help it because now we didn't wash our hands. We know people that don't. We have all seen people go to the bathroom and come out and don't wash their hands. Like,
Well, you don't hear that water. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir. I heard no water.
or how many? Yes. Or how many times I've seen women go and they run the water over their hand. I'm like, there's soap.
Yeah.
Soap is here.
Like, that water didn't even get hot. You ain't let it run the 5 seconds it needed to get hot.
To get the temperature where it would kill a germ. So listen, I ain't only talking about no men here. I ain't only talking about no women. I'm talking about mankind. We are careless. And as long as we are human, we are always going to aid in the problem. All right. So we got our last story, our wow story, which is, oh my gosh. Last week we showed a video. I'm going to show that video again, just in case people don't realize how real it is. And I'm looking for a woman, Terrence. I'm looking for a woman here. Help me with that one. Look for a woman. All right. Mind you, if you hear some sound bits that are a bit extreme, close your ears, because we want you to really see the video. But the sound bites will definitely help to see how serious this is. Shantice, give us that video, please. Get off the wall.
Oh my God.
This is how serious it gets for some people. This is man-made and this is scary. This is scary. I've watched this video several times. Before I even brought it, when I first saw it, I just kept letting it play because I was in disbelief that people would actually get that angry. Now, here's what's concerning. What's concerning is you are in, not one of these people were in a room all alone. Not one of these people was in a room all alone where your anger became more intensified and you did what you did and nobody else was affected. Only the people who came home or came in the room and found that they no longer had that television. You were so out of control that it didn't matter that we were all here enjoying the game. But because you became that upset, you opted to spoil it for everybody. So last week, Vivian's wild story was, here we are. I'm watching the Sunday night football game. Mom asks, wife asks, please turn the game off. And he's that angry that he shoots her and kills her. One child ran left to get help. There was a child in the crib, and the other child was shot in the face. A little girl, I believe she was 10 or 12 years old, shot
13.
in the face. 13, thank you, shot in the face. The wife, they said later on, they saw that the wife had given a note, given him a note that said, please go get help for his drug addiction. This week's wow story, a viewer, listener submitted story, was a man who was playing NBA, what's the name of the game? NBA 2K, who was watching his 8-month-old son during the time. And after losing the game, the video game, he got upset, threw the baby up against the wall. The baby suffered skull fracture, ribs, broken ribs, and a broken collarbone. Child faces long-term health issues, including needing a feeding tube. He is 8 months old and hasn't even gotten his little life started. Shatish, you got first dibs on this, keeping in mind the video that we just watched.
He wanted to throw that baby regardless. The TV could have been off. The game could have been off. He could have won. When you're upset, you see how, like, the video we just watched, they didn't go get something to throw. Whatever was already in their hand, whatever was right there, for the most part, they didn't even use an object. They used their fists. Most of those men used their hands, their fists. If they did use the chair was already right there. If they didn't walk away, whether it was 2 feet, 1 foot, whatever, to go get something to throw. You wanted to throw that baby. You throwing that baby had nothing to do with that game. What kind of game are you playing? So let's just play this retarded game you're on. You're playing this game and you lost. Whether the baby was there or not, why are you all that upset? That's not the type of game you need to be playing. How many commandments do I need to memorize game? Because if a game can get you mad, if a game can get you mad to where you need to throw anything, that's a serious, wicked, and mental issue. Now, you're saying that you lost to the point where you got that mad that you put the remote down. You went and picked up this helpless life and threw him up against the wall. And then looking at this picture, he done threw some things before you had sex with him. He threw your makeup brushes, he threw your foundation, your lip gloss, he threw something. He threw the TV remote. After y'all had sex, when you found out you was pregnant, he probably threw the test you peed on. He done threw a whole lot before you pushed this baby out. Now you leave. I'm not leaving him with you looking the way you look. Forget whether you got mad over a game. You just look like you're a little deranged. Now this is the explanation that me as a mother has to hear, whether I heard it from the detective or whether you said it to me. This is the explanation. It had nothing to do with any game. But if we're gonna go with your theory that it was because of a game, then you should have been admitted years ago as a child, because you didn't just start playing 2K and you ain't just start getting mad that you lost over something. So this has been brewing for years, and you've never been checked on it, because if you were checked on it as an adult, you wouldn't be acting like that. That is just. The baby has vision problems now. It's like, you know, the type of test you got to go through to be able to determine if a baby has hearing and vision problems. Like, that's crazy. That I pray that God just reroutes, despite what is said medically, the diagnosis medically. But that's a whole lot for this baby to not have to go, oh, my dad threw me up against the wall because he got mad while he was playing 2K. Why are you playing 2K? Seems so bad. And see, when you tell men, when you sit and tell men, like you're on these games too much, and they think you're nitpicking and you're nagging, they don't see that there are a lot of the times it's a real valid assessment. Forget, sometimes I need to wind down and all that. I've heard men on these headsets. And it goes from, I'm playing, come on, let's talk about it. And I'm like, put that down. And I'm not even in the same room with them. I've been on the phone with them and they've been playing. And I'm like, you're scaring me. I'm not even there with you. I can imagine being on the other end of that headset and you yelling like this over a game. Are you about to lose your living situation if you lose? It just gets that intense. I don't know what kind of bantering be going on in these headsets. It just becomes way too much. And everyone, as silly as it may sound, everyone can handle playing these things, obviously.
Thank you. Lady Tamika, taking into consideration the video that we saw and the fact that he was playing NBA 2K.
Right. NBA 2K, Call of Duty. It doesn't matter what it is that you're watching, or playing Grand Theft Auto. I've seen and I've heard, exactly what Shantice is talking about, the yelling and screaming. Even in my own house, prior to getting married, I could always tell when my brother was watching the game. What the heck is going on that we got this yelling at the team? Bruh, they can't hear you. Just so that you know, they can't hear you.
Right.
and just the reactions, and my thing is, he's got this child in his hand. You know how you are when you watch the game. This is not your first game. This is not your first game. You've got the baby in your hand. You take this baby and slam this baby up against this wall. And now the baby is damaged for life. You had a normal, not that I'm, the baby was fine. You could feed him the way, and anybody who's ever had to see a child with a feeding tube, it's very complicated because sometimes with the injection inside the feeding tube, sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes the baby, has adverse effects because of the feeding tube. Not only that, when you're putting the baby's clothes on, the positioning of it, you can hurt the baby, it's a process, and all of that, all because you got angry over a game. You need to start taking something like crocheting or knitting or reading.
Why? That's just something you stab with.
Right.
Put a crochet needle in his possession.
Well, read. Oh, I guess you're going to throw. Is that maybe you need to do online reading or you the computer? Is there anything safe for you, sir? Anything?
Mm-hmm. I remember when we started playing games in church. I'm going to go back, but let me read these comments. Terrence says, question, did he get the baby or was the baby on his lap? Now, most times when men are playing a game I always see them with two hands. So I don't know. I'm no game expert, but I normally see a two-hand action. So, is the baby laying on his lap? Maybe, I don't know, but I don't necessarily. I don't envision
those games get too intense. They don't need anything distracting them. That baby wasn't on his lap.
Okay, so I don't know. Was it there? I don't know. Dell says that's a fact. If it don't apply, let it fly. Leave it alone. We take our life for granted. All right, so let's go back. So I remember when we were playing games in church. Now we talk about musical chairs. We're talking about, little everyday games. Nothing intense. We played Jeopardy. We played nothing that was really foreign. When we did play, the rules were always very simple. I then go to when we went away on a retreat and we were playing board games. Now, I was raised on board games, Trouble and Connect Four and Sorry and games like that, Monopoly. And I remember growing up, I only have one sister, and we used to play games. We had a bunch of fun. When we were with my cousins and we played games, bunch of fun. When we would play with my parents were always good with playing games with us. Fun. I had never in my life seen what playing games with a group of young people was like in this manner. I couldn't figure out what was worse. When we played the games, and I'm using both times, in church as well as at the retreat. So in other words, we got, two different arenas. Same group of people, two different arenas. I didn't know what was worse, the poor losers or the poor winners.
The poor winners were worse.
All I know is, I said, I'm not playing with y'all no more. I was I could not believe who raised y'all. Why are y'all taking something that could be so much fun and just destroying the atmosphere? We played a game. We played musical chairs. You should have seen the mama tear up the son trying to get and I said, is that not your child?
What?
Is that's not
Yes.
a child?
She threw him across the room pretty much, so she
To
could
get
to the
to be
yeah.
to be the last one in the show. And I could not believe what I was watching when we were playing the board game. Like, oh, when
That was the winner. That was the winner.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm telling you. I couldn't tell what was worse for me, the sore losers or the poor winners. And I just said, okay, God is revealing to me, y'all got real issues. These people were married, in relationships, had families, jobs. We ain't talking about the kids. What? I'll take all the kids. Come, y'all adults. Bye. I'm gone. No, I'm not pulling. No, I have never experienced anything like it in my life, and I'm not exaggerating. You hear Shanti sanctioning everything. She was there. She was there. We got to check in from our girl Akusa. Hey, Akusa, thank you so much for joining us. So I bring that up to say females and males. It was more males. I got to be honest. It was more males because I think it was only one female. And she was there playing with her husband. And I looked, I said, Lord have mercy. Now I know why y'all always arguing. I said, y'all can't even play a game together. The words that were coming across the table. I was like, this how y'all play. When you win, I said, oh my God, what happened when you lose? I'd already seen how they were storming out, getting angry when we were playing the other games. And I'm saying, yo, this, and I realized that God was doing this so that I could see what they really needed work on.
Everything.
So now I look at and I hear these stories. So last week we heard you couldn't play the game. You couldn't watch the game. She asked you to turn the game off. Just a couple of days earlier, I came across that video. And one of the captions in the video, in one of those, a few of those snippets was when they had gambled on a game. It was for money. Then you have others who were just mad because their team, they had another couple of captions where their team hadn't won, when their team lost. And now we have graduated to a fake game. A game where, regardless of whether you win or lose, you can reset the game and play again.
Right.
Regardless of whether you were on the winning team or whether you were on a losing team, you can reset the game and play again. Whether this child was sitting on his lap, whether he had to go get the baby, my concern is the anger level. So even if he were playing a fake game where you could reset and you picked up an orange and threw it at the wall, that's troubling for Stephanie. This is why I said I went back to playing games with the young people. This stuff here, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. This is very troubling. This indicates that, as Shanti said, he's got an anger issue, period. It didn't matter whether it was the game. It was the game this time. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the man and the woman arguing at Walmart. He took the baby, put the baby in the middle of the road and drove over the baby because he and the mother were arguing. Why do the children, not even the children will make you sensible? It's so bad. Your anger is so out of control that not even an infant, and that infant was what, like 8 months old, 10 months old, something like that. The one that he put in the middle of the street. Yes. That baby wasn't a year old.
Right.
So here we got again a child who now has vision problems. Tamika, you spoke up because I know someone who had to get a feeding tube. That feeding tube a lot of times gets infected.
Yes.
You got to be very careful how you dress, how you undress. This is what this poor baby will face for the rest of his life because you can't control your anger over a video game. What is this? What? This is his anger level. This is just period. And I agree 100%. Again, ain't nobody got to tell me this ain't his first time getting mad. Ain't nowhere in the world you gonna tell me this is he didn't display this to you. But here's what you thought, as we always say, you never thought it would be the baby.
What?
Oh, well, I know he get mad. Because I'm going to tell you something. After watching her throw her son across the room over the musical chair, I had to ask, was he safe at home? I was like, you do realize this is just a game, right? We can play again and you get another chance to win. The mentality, it only magnifies at certain times, but it doesn't begin there. This is the scariest thing. It's getting worse. This is our first story of the year at this level. First story of the year at this level. Terrence says, I only asked because of Shantice's answer, but I have played the game and held my baby girl as well, but he needs all the time they are going to give him and more. Kusa says, good morning. Al says, don't worry, Big Bubba will fix the anger issue. But how are we trying to stop these people from getting to Big Bubba? Because not only my concern is, and I'll leave this on the table, my concern is not only for the children that they have destroyed, but they're destroying their own lives. I am so tired of seeing these young people give their lives to the system. We talked yesterday about people at a full-time professional job, they have given their lives away to the system, all because of hazing and pranking and joking. When is it going to stop, Lady Tamika? How do we have children? What are we going to do to help them? Because see, big messes were once little messes. You didn't get this way at 25, 33. No. This is what happened when you were 10, when you were 8. This is what happens.
You are so right. I often, from time to time, you'll hear me talk about my sibling. I only have one flesh and blood brother, and I think about even our childhood. I had gotten to a point where the game Uno, I couldn't play it with him. It was, not like a little bit, like really, really, really bad. I got to the point where even just, 3 cards, I don't want to play with you. People take cards, the winning cards, the wilds and the draw 4s and the draw 2s, and stick them in his undergarment and still lose.
Wow.
She said,
and after losing, he would take the cards and fling them around. And then, he would go into whatever room we're in, throwing things, And this was our childhood. As we got older, I was like, I'm not playing with you anymore. And I had the cards. I got the cards. I tied them up, wrapped them in a rubber band, and I hit them because I can't play with you. And where you have issues in one area, I promise you have issues across the board.
Yeah.
You have issues in conversations. You can't talk. Right. You grab a flint. You slamming doors. You throwing things. So those are signs that you need to pay attention to. I've seen, and so that the men don't feel so bad. Look at weddings. When you got the throwing of the bouquet. And women are literally knocking each other down, each other. And I've seen women storming off, cursing, throwing things because they were not the one to catch the bouquet. So the anger is across the board, gender-wise as well. The sad part about it is a lot of times in households, it's avoided. It's I don't want to, I don't want to say anything about Boo Boo because Boo Boo gonna get mad. No, you need to address the thing because if Boo Boo at that age is acting crazy, now I'm dealing with a grown adult that
right.
closing doors, that's walking past me, they don't even see me. I'm talking to you. I cannot get you to communicate with me because in that childhood you were avoided, you were ignored, you were pacified, and now we got to do something else. And then when they get older, they don't think that anything's wrong with them because mama and daddy said, "Oh, Boo Boo is fine. Oh, Boo, don't say anything to Boo Boo. Oh, let Boo Boo stay in the room with the door closed." And now you got a full grown adult, male or female, that you can't deal with.
Yep. Absolutely. It's across the board. Like I said, the when I said that we were playing the board game I was playing the board game with the husband and wife. It was the wife. I was like, yo, stop. Now I see why you're arguing all the time. I said, you need to slow down. Again, it was the mother with the musical chairs. What is the man? It was the mother. So this is far from being a gender thing.
Right.
Far from being a gender thing. This is a breakdown in just human living. Shatice.
Well, I just want to start by saying if your name is Boo Boo, you should be mad. They just set you up for failure. You ain't getting no job. You getting teased in the schoolyard.
Why, Tamika? Why you get her started? Why?
I'm just saying. When God has you, when God entrusts you to, like, when he teaches you about you and he entrusts you to talk to many people, you like start to really analyze a whole lot. Sometimes I can't get past certain parts. Like, if we talk about, like, we're not gonna act like you just said, like, you didn't just say that, okay? Because that's the problem right there, okay? You thinking the punchline, and no, that's the punchline. All right,
oh my gosh.
What was the question? Like, don't cry for real. Like, I think I got stuck at Boo Boo. What's the question? No, for real. What was it like? Come on, what was the
I'm laughing because I know you're not joking. That's the one.
Because I'm normally attentive. Even when I got, like, I'm stuck on something, I got the mission. I lost the mission. I think that's the mission.
Okay, so
stop naming your kids certain things, even nicknames. They live up to it. They become the nickname. Stop.
There. I'm so sorry.
They become. I'm serious. You like when these kids are not named intellectual names anymore. So it doesn't mean that Calvin or I can't even say like Sebastian, like they can't be mass murderers. They can. Anyone can be. But but when it's like, do I want that on this prison record, or does Boo Boo make more sense? So we gotta stop with the nicknames and all that, because it just cheapens the quality of life. It does. I'm telling you, somebody called my
you knew this. You have been on with her long enough to know. Listen, all you need to do is give her a segue. When you said Boo Boo the first time, I was like, okay. When you kept, I said, Lord have mercy.
I was stuck from the first time. I heard the first time. No, my youngest sister used to have a nickname, and my cousin, who's just a few years younger than me, started calling her that, and I almost punched her in her throat. I said, "Don't you ever call her that." I said, "You don't love her. Don't call her that." "Oh no, we cool." "No, you're not cool with her. No, do not call her." Because see, people don't understand when you call yourself going by something, that's the type of mentality you have. So now she has this hood booger nickname, and you're calling her that, and you're helping her to think that it's okay. No, that's not her name. So you want to be a hood booger? Then keep letting people call you that. And stop hanging with people who you say, "No, don't call me my real name, call me this." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Those are people you need to stay away from. I don't care how old they are. and God has blessed you with me, and I don't care who they are, I'm gonna let them know. And I said it to them in front of my mother. I don't care who you are. Don't call her that in front of me. Because whenever she sees it, whenever she said she started her career, I said, guess what? You ain't getting no promo for me because I'm not tagging that name. So next thing I knew, she had a whole new Instagram page. Amen to this, but I'm not tagging that name. We have to stop. People think that this stuff is a joke. People live up to these things. So when you look at this, that's Boo Boo. Boo Boo went and threw the baby up against the wall. His real name could be Sebastian, it could be Calvin, it could be Michael, it could be whatever. But people, come on, people think this stuff is a joke. This is serious. But for real, what was the question so I can answer it real quick?
We talked about, because now you got like 30 seconds to answer this question because we let you go on your tirade about a nickname.
Somebody needed to hear that.
Okay. So big messes were once little messes. We're hearing about these things at they're 25, they're 23, they're 28. How do we grab this at an early age? We've been talking about this. Seems to be the staple for us over the past 4-5 weeks. We keep running here. What do we do? And we keep asking this question, hoping that at least the viewers here will grab on if they have not already, or if you haven't grabbed on, you can offer something up in this chat room. Other than Al saying Boo Boo is a good name, that means Big Bertha don't have to give a nickname. No, we ain't talking about Big Bertha. We're trying to get them from Big Bertha, Big Bubba. We don't want them in jail. 30 seconds, what can we do to really keep them from getting here? We know God. God is always at the end of, we know. But, what are we doing here?
Spare the rod, spoil the child. Start punching your kids in the throat. Start punishing them for real. I'm serious. These kids that come, we've watched videos on this platform alone of kids putting their hands on their parents. Not adult kids. Kids. It's bad enough if it was an adult kid. We've watched kids, and these parents literally have to fight back. Why? Because when they threw the bottle across the room at 9 months, you thought it was cute. When they threw the sippy cup across the room at 2, you thought it was cute. When they threw the pot across the room at 9, you thought it was cute. And here it is now, they're 13 and you all flabbergasted because now they bucking up at you. Start disciplining your kids, because see, all of this, and this came up before on here. Oh, the government says that I can't. So now the government has your child because he took him through his child. So has you beat your child, then he would have understood that either I can't play this game because I don't know how to control my emotions, or I can play this game because I've learned how to control my emotions. So now when I hear my baby cry or I see my baby, I know how to treat my baby because I know how my mother treated me. I know how my father dealt with me. I know how auntie and uncle dealt with me. They left me with babysitters who they entrusted, and they treated me as my parents would treat me. But this is why we can't keep the kids and the adults from getting to the jail system, because nobody wants to take the time to discipline their children. Now the system disciplines your child.
Yeah.
Because see,
that's where it ends up.
If you're a balanced parent, you know how to beat your child and still be able to explain why I just almost broke your neck. And the next time you go to do something, you want to think about how you was on the brink of death the last time, and you're like, I don't want to have to face mommy again. I don't want to have, and it doesn't mean you're never going to want to do something reckless or want to do something crazy. That's not realistic. But you think about how God is making sure he's disciplining you, and you cheat your child out of having a real life. That guy doesn't look old. He looks young.
No, he's a kid.
He's a kid. Yeah. So now your life is done, because I can guarantee you his parents did not discipline him properly. So you don't discipline your child. You think you got to have a life too? Yeah. So you out at the club and your 20-something-year-old son now is facing time in jail, possibly life, because he just threw your grandchild up against. I hope that club and that dinner and your peace at this age is good. because you didn't do what you needed to do then. Until parents start getting back on that, these prisons are going to continue to have the kids and the adult kids.
All righty. Renee is co-signing with you, Shantice. Al says we have to start when they're young. Let them understand that it is okay to lose a game. Try again. Correct. These kids are different, Renee says. They live in the world of reality. They think everything is okay. Tamika, what do we do to help them when they're younger? Shantice says, beat them and discipline them. What say you?
Recognize the signs. Don't pacify it, I remember, just speaking transparently in my own household, there are only 2 children, but you treated them different. When he went into his, whatever, you would let him, you would allow him to sleep, and you don't say anything, you don't do anything, you don't address it, and now you have an adult who doesn't really relate to the world, and it's not just, I still, after moving, I still check in. The neighbors say, they rarely see him. He's a recluse. He's spent the majority of the time in one room with the door closed. And now he's hard to deal with. And I can't, you're an adult now. I can't undo the damage, So for someone, I got to speak to those who have children who have issues. Make sure that you get that you do your due diligence, because this is a child. When you're starting to see these signs, don't pacify them, because as they get into relationships with other people, and I'm not even talking about marital relationships, he can't even get a steady, relationship because he's unrelatable, and I don't mean any harm. I don't want her talking to me because I'm his sibling and I can't address it. If I can't address it as a grown adult, dealing with a grown adult, relationship wise, his relationships last maybe a year, if that, and so when you see those signs, pray over your children, get your oil. I remember when we were little, my mother would slather us. I was asleep 2:00 in the morning. I got to deal with, oil on my head. But if that's what I got to do to make sure that my child is okay, then do it. Do whatever it is that needs to be done. Let them see a Christian therapist. Take them to the pastor if you need to. Whatever needs to be done, so that we don't get to the point where they're going to jail or where they can't deal with real life. Whether they're in certain types of facilities. I even think about the job that my brother works in. He works in a facility with people with mental disabilities. Oh, that helps. So just make sure your due diligence by your children so that they don't become adults that are damaged.
Oh, wow. Good stuff. My due time crew, my ladies, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. I hope they paid attention to these words that were given. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. By the time I get here every day, I'm always like, whew. Because we really are talking about some serious stuff here. I don't know how many of you are, Blog Talk listeners. When we were just on audio, we were on audio only up until our our live from February. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the last couple of months, the conversations here have turned up. They have really turned up. And what I'm noticing is we're ruffling a lot of feathers. And I remember my grandmother, who was a pastor, she used to say, if you are serious about God, then you can hang with us. Because what you getting here, this ain't no little oranges and apples. This is meat. And I'm noticing that we ruffling some feathers here. And that's one way you know that God is really, really putting some stuff out there. And why people don't want God, and why people don't want to go to church, and why people don't want to hear the Bible. It's not necessarily that they don't agree. It's now beginning to work as sandpaper. I'm watching and I'm listening. Trust me when I tell you, I'm very perceptive. And that's why, like I said earlier, and Shantice always says, listen, if the shoe fits, wear it. You don't get upset over there. I've never been that type. And one of the things that, I did, if I noticed that this was always, if I was in an arena where we were always put in one category, then I would speak up and I would say something. But when we're talking, when people are talking like this, I don't get, my back up. I don't get all touchy. I remember last week somebody was on, wasn't a regular, he was new, and he was like, it was last Wednesday when everybody was on, and he was like, I can't take you people seriously anymore. And I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset at all, because I realized that you must be on the other side of discipline, because that's all we're talking about. All we're talking about is how to make sure that you do the right thing. And what do you mean you can't take us seriously anymore? We had many opinions. Again, we don't always agree, which is what I love about this Due Time crew. We don't all agree. And we don't have a problem saying, especially me, I have no problem saying I do not agree. But I love this combination of people, because we're very transparent. And we will say what it is that needs to be said. And again, we don't always touch and agree at all. Sometimes we are very, very, very different in a matter of opinion. And, somebody commented on that, one time. And I said, listen, God needs us to have some variation of opinion, because how is he going to work on us? How is he going to work on the viewer or the listener if everybody always agrees? Because the fact that Pastor Kale says, I wish I saw that comment. Yeah, he had, periodically been commenting, and then all of a sudden it was like, I can't take you people seriously anymore. And I was like, oh, bye. I don't know what to say to you. You don't know what to say to you. When we're telling you something wrong, then by all means, but yet you'd probably sit up and listen to a whole bunch of garbage. But, we are at a point where God is really addressing some stuff. And, it's almost like when you go to church and people say, oh, the pastor stepped all over my toes. And there's something wrong with that. Did you really find something wrong with that? Yeah, because people want to be pacified. The Bible speaks of this. Just like I said earlier about the Bible speaks of The Bible speaks of this. They said, people want things that's going to tickle their ears. People want things that's always going to make them feel good. People are going to, all of the things that I agree with. But when God begins to really deal with us, and see, here's what I need you to understand about God. God is not a one note Charlie, as they would just say. I don't know what they say now, but he's not a one note God. He's not a one issue God. So in other words, if he's talking, I think somebody said it earlier, I think it was Shantice, Tamika, the word of God says, an unstable man is unstable in all his ways. So in other words, if you live in fear, if you're in fear of the dark, then there's going to be some other things that you are going to be fearful of as well. You're not just going to be scared of no dark. Every little thing you're gonna find fear in that person's life. If that person is a thief, then guess what? He's gonna or she's gonna be stealing in many different ways. But you can't tell her that she's a thief. Oh, I don't steal. I don't rob no bank. But yet you're stealing things from the job. You're stealing here, you're stealing there, you're robbing this, you're robbing. But because you have tunnel vision and you don't rob the bank. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, what's rubbing you wrong? You know, when somebody says, I can't take you people seriously anymore, things like that. Why is there I'm angry because I can't win at the N2K game or with a 2K NBA game? It's not the game. I have an anger issue. And what God is allowing me to see is this is how bad my anger is. Where I would take my child. So whether the child was, as Terrence said, he used to play with his little girl in his lap. He just picked her up and, threw her. Or whether he literally got up to the crib, went to the crib or on the couch and picked up the baby and threw it. Either way, God is revealing to you how bad this anger is. Why? Because like Tamika said, Mama ignored it. Now, I'm going to say this. Tamika's parents are no longer here. So when she says that, you know what, hey, they didn't take care of my brother's issues back then, and here he is as an adult, then who did they leave that problem to? Because they're no longer here to help with that issue. So even if they could, they're no longer here. So now there's a monster that's been allowed to fester. And now we have, and when I say a monster, that's just terminology that I'm using. Now we have an issue that nobody can help. Not even his very sister can help. So now you can't tell him that he's wrong because mommy and daddy never told me I was wrong. So here's what happens with this young man. When him and the mother was arguing, meaning his mother, meaning the baby's mother, nobody ever helped him understand that, you really got an anger problem. No, now. And can I tell you something? I'm going to go back to the video we showed last week of the 10-year-old who put his sister in the microwave and turned the microwave on and literally cooked her. The anger that was on his face. You don't know whether he was angry because y'all punishing me for something that I did and I don't see what I did wrong, or I'm angry because I'm being punished for something that I did, and I know what I did, but I'm mad because now I got to deal with it. You don't know why. You don't know what's going on in his head. So this is what God is doing with us. He is revealing just how bad this stuff is. So when I go back to say, when these kids were in the church, and I always say, let me explain something to all of you. One of the things that God has shown me clearly is by the time you get to Stephanie, you at your last step, my brother, my sister. You get ready to go down. So I am your last stop for true help. Because see, I'm not going to watch you be dysfunctional and I'm not going to say nothing. I wasn't like that with my kids, and I'm surely not going to be like that with you. God has given me charge over your life in the spiritual realm and here on earth, and I am going to show you what God is revealing to me. I'm here to help you. So when I saw these young adults with families, man, you people keep a job. Oh, that was my famous line. Y'all got a job? Y'all keep a job? Because from a person who spent most of my 30-year career in HR, oh, I know what goes on. And I know what is tolerated and what's not tolerated. And only the mercy and grace of God is still allowing y'all to keep a job as dysfunctional as y'all are. So let me help you. These people were dysfunctional at 30 and 30. I was like, oh my God. Where were your parents? They saw y'all acting like this and nobody said anything. Well, Tamika just got finished giving us a reality, something that she watched up close. Parents, are we missing the mark? Well, here's the problem. Because you may have missed the mark. Here I am, Pastor Steph, giving man the word, humans the word. And now I'm ruffling feathers. Why? Because ain't nobody checked you prior to this. because people made light of what you did. People laughed and joked. And when I was standing up before them and we're playing a fun game and I'm looking at you tossing children around and you, because you winning. And I'm saying to myself, well, how does that work? How does that work? How does that help the person who just lost? So now you may already be dealing with a person who's a sore loser. And now because you're a poor winner, you have magnified the issue with the sore winner, a sore loser. So how have you helped? We talked about this yesterday. What's your role in life? We're not here to make man's life worse. We're here to help one another grow. The word of God says that we should not be saying anything that is not edifying to that individual. In other words, what can I say to help you? But we're so busy thinking about us. I'm so busy celebrating the fact that I won. Is it because you haven't won at many other things? Is it because this person has shown you that they are better at something else and now you feel victorious because, woo, I finally got a chance to win? Regardless of whatever the reason is, I'm not interested. I'm really not. Because what I realize is it's taking you down. And there's a bigger problem. This ain't the only area you acting like this. And can I tell you something? They're not married now. They are enemies now. Enemies now. This couple, you didn't just break up. Enemies. You can take an I'm sorry. You can give an I'm sorry. You can admit when you're wrong. You can admit that when that person did you wrong, that you were wrong for how you responded, because all you thinking about is what they did to you. See, all of that stuff, it's all merged. It's all in who you are. This ain't separate. These are not separate issues. It's one big issue just broken down into little places in your life. An unstable man is unstable in all his ways. This ain't no isolated incident that you got so angry that you shot your wife. Oh my God, you shot your wife. Not only did you shoot and kill your wife, but then you were so angry that you shot a 13-year-old. She didn't tell you to turn the TV off, but because your anger was at such a high, you just couldn't even control yourself. So you shoot the baby. You shoot the 13-year-old who has nothing to do with this. You take the baby, whether in your lap or off the couch, and you throw it up against a wall. And ain't nothing wrong with you. Up to this point, you really thought you were fine. That's the scary part. Again, because there was no realization, I need help. I need to go somewhere to get help. And if you don't go to the right place, and Tamika said the key to Christian counseling, you will not get the right guidance, because the world will tell you to do a whole lot of things. The world tells you, oh, let them slam the door and go in a room and close themselves so they can get some time out. What has that helped in this society? No discipline. We have therapists and counselors that teach you, don't discipline your children. Let them get it out. They have to let it out. And in order for them to learn how to deal with it, they have to first get it out. Oh my God. Okay, so after they get it out, you do nothing. Then where do we go from here? So now when I go to school, when I send them to school, she letting it out over there too. And when she gets into a relationship and she can't keep friends and she can't develop an intimate relationship with anybody. Why? Because it has to be her way. Because everybody has only watched her or him do what they do and they've walked off. This is counseling and therapy. Counseling and therapy is what you pay your money for, or your insurance company pays for this level of advice. And at the end of the day, where are we? This is where we are. You as a parent didn't like discipline. So therefore you I can't be so bothered. Just let him go. Just let him go. Just let him go. Let them walk it off. Let them sleep it off. No, this is not. Pastor K always says that's not the will of God for my life. That's not God's will for your life. And at the end of the day, we have to come down to the word of God. Am I going to lose a lot of people here on this platform? I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. But I have a job. I have a job to give you the word of God. You're either going to take it or you are going to leave it. You are either going to take it and understand that what applies to me, and I need some help. And you know what? I'm already bad because I'm trying to figure out people who are having a hard time with life. They will not try God. And I'm saying to them, okay, I'm a little lost. You can't keep a job. Every relationship you have is failing. You don't get along with your parents. You don't get along with your siblings. How much worse does it have to get for you to try God? Because where else could it go wrong with God? It can only go up from here. But because we feel we've always got the control, because we feel that, we don't need God, because we feel that I can do it on my own, you are doing it on your own. And where are you now? How will adapting God in your life make it worse? Because see, I would dare to say, can it get any worse? Because it could. Oh, it definitely can get worse. So I don't ask you that question. My question becomes, if you were to just take the word of God and begin to live by it, could it get any worse doing it that way? No, it's not going to get worse. It's how you look at the cup. The cup becomes more filled as you put the things of God in your life. I don't need to be at a deficit. I will be 60 years old. God spares my life at the end of this year. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I cannot run the risk of anything being worse than what it is. I always joke and say I'm at 70% of my existence. I am disabled. I'm not bedridden. Thanks be to God. But I don't function. I watch everybody else move around. I'm like, y'all still functioning? I gotta take a nap. I'm sorry. I go the whole day. My brain is just like, I can't function in a bunch of visual disarray. It will mess my whole head up. I have an illness that is affecting me mentally. If I allow a bunch of disarray, I can't take a lot of arguing. I don't have that level of tolerance anymore. I can't do a lot of yelling. If I scream and yell because you done made me mad, my heart is palpitating, my head is hurting. I don't function like the old Stephanie. So I'm looking at all of this shift in my life. I'm looking at all of this shift in me physically. I need God. Oh, I need God. Because dare I ask, can it get worse? Dare I ask, can it get worse? I need God in the front of me. Because if I don't, my little 70% will become 50%. My little 50% will become 30%. If I think I can't yell now, if I think that visually everything is like clustered in my head, in my eyes, then I'm only going down. But I am to go up and higher in the Lord. That's why I'm here with you every day. Clearly, God has kept it all together in this area. And he's handling me in all the other areas. He's keeping me together. So that's what I'm saying to you. Instead of every little thing bothering me, I'm watching people, every little thing bothering me. Oh my Lord, really you really think that this is like the way it's supposed to be? And you still don't want God? I'm watching you. You can't do nothing with your young children. You can't do nothing with your adult children. But you still don't want God. You know, you find that you're making 60, 70, 80,000 a year, but yet you have no savings account. You do know that the word of God says when you do not put him first, you will always make the money, but it will always be like you got holes in your pocket. Now, I don't need to be making $80,000 a day, but it's going out faster at 100,000 than I'm pulling in at 80. Do you realize the cycle that happens when you don't choose God? Do you realize that you really have nothing holding you together? That it's just air and space that's holding you here. And you're not going to go any higher. There's a reason why he's got your interest here. It's not for entertainment. We're not here to entertain you. We're giving you the word of God in an entirely different form. We're just not taking you to church. You're just not sitting up in a tabernacle. We don't have on the collars, the crosses, the high heel shoes, the hats. We're not praising the Lord. Hallelujah. We are giving you God in everyday living. Because can I tell you something? That's where God exists. Woo! God exists in our everyday living. Because you've got some Christians that believe that God only exists in your Christian life. But we're here to help you understand that God exists in your everyday living. God exists when your anger is so angry. Yes, I'm saying it just like that, that you take your baby and you put it in the middle of the street and run him over. There is God there. God is everywhere. So some people say, well, then what kind of God would allow this to go on? A God that has given us free will. A God that says you can choose me and I can deliver you from this anger. Or you can say, no, thank you. And I can let you live in your anger. And I'm going to display to you how bad it can get. Because Shantice always says it's only God that keeps us from putting the baby in the middle of the road. Literally, it's only God. Because can some of us get that angry? Yeah. Because we haven't been completely delivered from anger yet. But it's God that keeps a cap on that anger. That's why I keep saying, do you really want to continue not to include God in your life? We're going to put a cap on things until you position yourself for him to eliminate that thing altogether. I have seen many angry people of yesterday become completely loving and in control today, because that's one of the fruit of the spirit is self-control. And when you allow your anger to get so angry that you kill your own, you ain't killing them. You don't children mean nothing to you. Mean nothing. They mean nothing to you. While Terrence is describing him holding his baby girl and loving her, that same man could be holding his child in his lap, the one we talked about today, but got angry and threw the baby. Only God's going to keep a cap on where you can go. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but he keeps a cap. Pastor Jeff has said on this platform many a times, I hold on to my wife. I hold on to the wife that I have, that I know God gave me. Because if I don't hold on to her, I don't know what I would be doing right now. Because where I come from, what I used to do, I could still be doing that. So God is keeping a cap on Pastor Jeff's life. That's what happens when you give your life to God. And I've just come to the point, not just today, but for a while, I've just realized I need God to keep a cap on them things. But see, here's why I say God keeps a cap on it. When I tell you I can't yell and scream like I used to because now my heart palpitates and my head hurts, I could very well be allowed to yell and scream. And when they look, I've been passed out on the floor from an aneurysm or because I had a heart attack or a stroke. It is God who is keeping a cap on Stephanie's life. It is God who is keeping a cap on Stephanie's mentality that says, listen, let me stop this thing, because everything ain't coming from heaven. Oh, you have got to do. Faith without works is dead. God ain't doing everything. There's stuff that you need to do. And that's the point I'm trying to get across to you. God is trying to make you aware of what's going on. And what are you going to do about you? Because he's not sitting up there running us like puppets and robots. You have to make some decisions. You have to say, I can't do that no more. But no matter what we decide we can't do no more, we have no strength if not for God. No matter what we decide. You know, for those of you who have stopped smoking, but you don't go to church, I'm sorry, that ain't you. That's not you. The word of God says that the rain falls on the just as well as the unjust. He blesses each and every one of us because maybe he's trying to save your life in order for you to give it to him. Oh, what about that one? What about that one? What about the fact that he will make moves even in our sinful days? Because the word of God says, yet while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So in other words, God did not wait for us to get it together in order for him to save us or send Jesus. It don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. We have a responsibility because God sent his son even while we were sinful. That's what we have to think about. Let's get this together. Because God said, oh, I'm sorry, there is a cap. There's a cap. There's a cap on all of this. I can stop this show right here, right now, and allow you to work on you. I can stop this thing right now. I can stop this right now and allow you to work on you. I can let you. I'm not making anybody do anything. I'm letting you know that ignoring me will help me to step back, because I'm not forcing myself on you. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it tomorrow. We have been made free agents, and he has been a loving God, loving enough to let us do what we do. Just listen, I'm just going to love you freely. I'm just going to love you freely. But you need to understand that my love is free. I'm not like man. You don't have to work for my love. And even me letting go and leaving you to a reprobate mind, in other words, to yourself, is me loving you. Because sometimes it's not until God steps back until we realize, you know what? I can't do this by myself. I thought I was doing this by myself all along. No, we haven't been doing it by ourselves all along. We may have thought that we all of that and we were doing it by ourselves all along, but we haven't been. And God is saying, but I'll let you think that way until I give you a dose of reality. You want to do it by yourself? I'm good. I'm just going to step back. Is that what we're waiting for? Are we going to listen to the word of God and say, you know what, God? Thank you. Thank you for just waiting for me. And I'm going to tell you something. Waiting for us is different than years ago. Why? Because time is drawing closer to when God is sending Jesus back. So we don't have the kind of time, years ago when great grandma used to say, oh, make sure you get your life together. Jesus is coming back soon. That was 1,000 years. Jesus ain't coming back in 1,000 years in my life. For my life. Jesus ain't coming back in 1,000 years for the Z's. Ain't coming back for the Y's. He ain't coming back for the alphas. And he ain't coming back in 1,000 years for the betas. It's closer to that time. So now it's almost like God's got to make certain moves sooner, because he says, I don't want to see anyone perish. And if I allow you another 1,000 years, then it'll be 5 minutes before I send my son back. And before you know it, this is what you'll be faced with. So let's not push this thing. Let's hear the word of God and take him at his word. Let's hear the word of God and just say, thank you, God, that you've waited on me this long. Because can I tell you a real reality? Jesus may not come back tomorrow, but will we live until tomorrow? You know, we keep talking about, oh, Jesus is coming back soon. So we know that. But what am I doing with my life during the time I'm here? Because guess what? I don't know when God is coming back. Jesus is coming back, rather. I don't know. I may be dead. Am I going to die in my sinful state? Is that how I'm going to leave this world? With a chance that I'll go to hell? Or am I going to work and get myself together? Because getting yourself together takes work. It ain't something we could do sitting back and crossing our legs. We got to work at this thing. We got to take everything that God gives us and we got to apply it. Not let it upset us. Now we're taking everything so personal. No. Let's get this thing together and give God what he's due. Why don't we say thank you for all that he's done for us? Why don't we say thank you for him just letting us go and go and go? How are we willing to step up to the plate and say thank you, God? And I'm going to show you that I'm appreciative. I'm going to show you that I love you. I'm not just going to say I love you. I'm going to show you that I love you. Because see, man couldn't tell me he loves me, but not show me. And I believe him. Actions speak louder than words. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. Go through the day. Be sure to set your mind on things that are above. Things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.